and thanks for staying with us here on Market Day Report. I'm Suzanne Alexander. Ethanol numbers show mixed results lately. Data from the EIA shows output rose last week, with most coming from the Midwest. Ethanol stocks, on the other hand, fell on the week, dropping just shy of 3%. USDA has opened applications for several trade programs, including the Market Access Program and the Foreign Market Development Program. The FMD program gives around $35 million each year to help farmers find new markets. The deadline to apply will be June 6th. Ag manufacturer CNH says it's holding off on shipments of farm equipment from U.S. factories until they have a better idea of how tariffs will impact the company. CNH says there are no impacts to production and parts will continue to be shipped. The move also covers the company's European entities. Well, U.S. Secretary of Agriculture Brooke Rollins, she was in Iowa early this week visiting with the state's ag community. She was joined by industry leaders as they toured farm facilities and met with local producers to hear firsthand about their needs. Congressman Zach Nunn joins us now. He participated in this visit. Congressman, a pleasure to have you. Thank you for being here. Tell us about the event. You had the chance, of course, and did you meet with the Secretary prior to this visit to your home state?
Well, Suzanne, we had a great opportunity to have Brooke Rollins, who's a good gal from the Texas state. Brooke has been a leader, both with the Trump administration, but also with just unleashing America's energy and economic and now ag priorities. I met with her just before she came to Iowa at the president's joint address to Congress, invited her to come out and hear from the heartland. And she took us up on that. One of the first states she visited out of the gate, also the second largest ag-producing state after California, Iowa. She came out, she talked to ethanol producers, hog farms, came out and saw our seed production and the Manning Century family farm to really see what was happening on the ground in the heart of the heartland and get her boots dirty with the folks who are helping grow America's future.
Oh, we love that. Congressman, of course, let's start with biofuels. Biofuel production facility. Secretary Rollins made a special announcement about the biofuel infrastructure funding. Clearly good news for the industry.
Hey, this is fantastic. Higher Blend Infrastructure Grant announced nearly $500 million going in to help our fuel distribution. Not only does this help drive down overall costs, but ethanol, biofuels, the production are all great. We need to get this fuel out of the refinery and into America's gas tanks to help drive down those supply chain costs. Here in Iowa, we have 42 ethanol refineries and produce about 5 billion gallons annually. The other part is we've also got a number of biodiesel refineries, 10 of them. This all goes to help grow America's energy independence, which was a top tier in President Trump's game plan for driving down costs for both producers and guys like me with 6 kids who got to fill up a truck every week, driving down costs at the grocery store and at the pump. This is an incredible first start.
Well, you had mentioned also that she made the rounds there in Iowa, visiting a hog and diversified row crop farm. What did she ask and talk to the producers about there? Tell us about that visit in that section.
You know, I think the big takeaway she learned from our farmers, we talked to a dairy farmer earlier in the morning and then a hog farm there, is that we need to expand our export markets. The best way to be able to drive, a sales pitch for the 50 or 5,000 hog farms we've got in Iowa is to make sure that we've got new markets. That includes places like India, South America, North Africa, and certainly Europe. So she announced that she was going on a 6-country tour of new markets for the U.S. And Susan, this is why it's so important. We highlighted to her when she was there at that hog farm that you can see, for the last 4 years, we haven't had a single new ag trade deal under the Biden administration, and she's already leading this effort to embrace our partners and get this moving. The other side is, just 4 years ago, we were at trade parity, and now we're $50 billion in deficit in ag trading. That cannot happen. And so she is teed up with the administration, has their ear, prioritizing both our farmers and growers, the need for tariff
I think we lost the congressman there. Sorry about that. Talking, of course, with Congressman Zach Nunn in Iowa and talking about the visit that Ag Secretary Brooke Rollins had with that state. And as you heard, she is on a mission to tour not only here throughout the country, but many countries. And we are so looking forward to hearing more about how she's going to be opening up those markets. I think we do have the congressman back with us. Congressman, are you back there? Yeah, sorry about that. We lost connection, but I did want to ask ask you, having the opportunity, as you mentioned, she's going to be touring several countries, right? But to get to start here in Iowa, I'm sure that is not lost on you. Speak maybe to the value of being able to showcase your state's ag community to the secretary and really getting that firsthand kind of visit and face-to-face visit with the producers and farmers there.
Well, we're really privileged in Iowa to be first in corn, first in hogs, first in eggs, right up there with soybean, right up there with beef. Most importantly, we're proud that we get to both feed and fuel the world. And having Secretary Rollins come to a place like Iowa, and she's going to come to every ag community across the country, really gave our frontline farmers and our farming communities, many of who have been doing this for generations, the opportunity to champion what they love. They don't want a subsidy. They don't want a handout. They want to be able to grow and work on a family farm, and they also want to be able to make sure that families across the country are fed. She heard this loud and clear. You know, in Iowa, we just lost 500,000 turkeys to turkey virus, and she was committed to making sure that we were doing the research and the implementation to help make sure that our livestock farmers are assisted so that they can have the ability not only to maintain their flocks in this case, but also ensure we don't have crossover from swine flu to what's happening with bovine disease, and really help drive some of the innovative technologies that have the opportunity to grow America's agricultural output by 70% just in the next 10 years. She's going to be a leading charge in making sure this happens. And
she's definitely a woman who knows her way around the farm, of course, as we know her background. Congressman, hearing these priorities for you, of course, market access, avian influenza, biofuels. Next step for you, what as you continue to make sure that your priorities are heard and that your state is represented?
Look, here in Iowa, one of the things that I've really championed is the fact that the average age of a farmer is now over 65. Across the country, we're seeing something similar. Nowhere else do we ask this generation to both be on the front line of feeding the country and actually providing the national security for the country. We want to make sure that we've got good on-ramps for that next generation of farmer. It's one of the reasons in the Farm Bill, I'm working with Secretary Rollins, working on our Young and Beginning Farmers Tax Credit to get more folks in here, bringing technology in through our rural broadband expansion, and making sure that we've got a farm bill that really addresses the needs of the next generation of farmer. Everything from eliminating the inheritance and death tax so a family farm can keep going. We've got 87,000 right here in Iowa, to also making sure that we can get rid of bonus depreciation, those things that are preventing a new farmer from acquiring the equipment they need to be successful. In tandem, we've got a really good opportunity here to drive an American-made agricultural system made by American farmers that feed and fuel the world.
Congressman, thank you so much for your time. And as a military veteran, we thank you for your service and continued service to this country. Appreciate you very much. Congressman.
Susan, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Congressman Zach Nunn of Iowa.